Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Velvet, the metaphysician, and I'm so glad to be here with you today with our special guest, Dawn. And I was just enamored with Dawn the first time that I watched a video that he was doing with Wendy. And he's really got a unique way of sharing with us how important our language is and the words that we're saying to ourselves and the feelings that are coming from within with those words. And when he shared with us about options, I took that and ran with it instead of opportunities. And I had to write him, I had to tell him, I'm telling you what, as soon as I changed that one word from opportunity to options, my business just took off. Like it was just like magic in the air. So I'm really looking forward to having Dawn with us today as he shares this incredible information regarding the cycle that we fall into. And I don't want to give it away because Dawn does a really good job with how he explains this. And I just want everybody to sit and listen and really kind of allow yourself to embody the information that he's going to share, because I know that we all have somewhere within us, even if it's a little bit of shame. And he's going to share with us regarding that financial stress that we have regarding that emotion. So, Dawn, are you ready to share with us?
Thank you, Dr. Velvet. Yes, I'm ready to share with everybody. How's everybody doing? Just a little one in the comments if you're doing well. In the chat, let's see some ones come up there. There we go. Andy McKinley, thank you for joining. Thank you all for taking time to spend some time here with me. I'll give you a little bit of background on myself. I'm 70 years old. I live in Ottawa, Canada, and I'm thrilled to be here. I'm a grief and loss specialist and have been coaching people through difficult emotional turmoil for as long as I can remember, really, but professionally for a long time. I've got 38 years worth of hardcore drug and alcohol addiction recovery under my belt, and I love people. The LifeWave opportunity crossed my path because somebody that cared a great deal about me wanted to reach out and share the incredible news that we all get to share with the world that needs us more than ever right now. And I lost my son in 2021 and really began doing research in regards to our technology back then and became convinced that had my son known about this technology, he would still be with us. And just recently, because I got to do a bit of a testimonial in regards to my own situation. Last March, I was diagnosed on March 12th. I was on April 12th. I was diagnosed with a 9 centimeter aortic abdominal aneurysm that I was completely clueless. I didn't know I had. They rushed me from the scanning clinic to the hospital, to the emergency ward. And a day and a half later, I spent 5.5 hours on an operating table, experiencing the most invasive surgery that they can put a body through. And miraculously, I've come through that without even one iota of pain, absolutely nothing. By June, I was back on my bicycle because that's how I process my emotional turmoil. And cycling for as long as I was ever cycling, as comfortably as I was ever cycling, and just really getting to enjoy my life. Now, some of the things that really got shifted for me in regards to what we have and how we can bring this to a community that needs it is found in language. And back during the very first COVID lockdown, I made a commitment to become a pathway to reconciliation and a beacon of hope for a world that needs it more now than they ever have. And I think it's undeniable that people are struggling on so many fronts with so many things, don't know where to finance, don't know what to do, don't know how to deal with it. And so I began doing a little bit of research, and it stemmed from my doctor asking me to take 6 weeks off and to do nothing. And for those of you who know me, 6 minutes of doing nothing for me is painful. Uh, I can't do it. I need to be out there and I need to be doing things. But I took them to heart. And, you know, they ask you to do nothing. And I looked at it as doing nothing, but realized that some of the deepest emotional work I've done, I did within that 6 week period, because I began to realize that the commitment I'd made to reconciliation wasn't in regards to external relationships that are damaged and that suffer from loss, but more a reconciliation to self so that I can show up whole in the marketplace. And so as I move through this, you can see the mark behind me, this boom, break the infinity cycle, and a play on the X39 brand in the boom itself. It makes up the infinity symbol, because I began to realize that what we have our hands on here is really something miraculous, but we need to really understand how to position it, because the infinity cycle I speak of are the pain elements. And so there's the physical pain that the world is in. There's the emotional pain that's undeniable that the world is suffering from right now. And there's the financial pain. And oddly enough, with the technology that we have and the people who are attracted to this environment, our light workers, our empaths, our professionals, our caring, deeply caring people who want the best for other people. And sometimes we want the best for other people more than they want it themselves, or more than they're even able to put their hands up and talk about wanting it, talking about needing it. And so when I spoke the last time and I talked about some of the language shifts that was taking place in me as I began to do research in the boomer communities, because I'm a boomer and I can relate, and I know boomers can relate to me. The three elements that the boomers are most concerned about right now are their physical wellness, their emotional wellness, and their financial wellness. And here we are sitting with an option for every one of them. But the most difficult for us to broach, and the most difficult for those who are suffering from financial strain to talk about, is the financial burden. Is that because it's so cloaked in shame. And we are so conditioned not to deal with shame-based events and elements by a world that's cruelly conditioned us to not really deal with any of our feelings. So, whether they be emotional or the emotions that are stirred up as a result of financial stress, we're conditioned not to deal with them. So we've grown quite adept at being able to dodge those things. And I'm here to share that we can be mindful and we can begin to break the infinity cycle. And the reason I wanted to talk to a group, or I believe it's important that we get this information out, is that so that I'm not trying to tackle this alone. And I just want to raise an awareness for people that we have some just absolutely incredible options for people. And the infinity cycle works this way. If you're suffering from physical pain and you've got things going on that front, it really depresses us, it demoralizes us. So our emotional states begin to be affected by it. And what happens with the emotional state when it starts to suffer and feel threatened? Well, it begins to erode our immune systems. And so we begin breaking down a little quicker, and we begin to to just not experience the wellness that we seek so often. So we find ourselves in a situation where we're caught in that cycle constantly. And so when we're not doing well emotionally, and when we stop and we look at what's unfolding in the world right now, it's difficult to find good news stories. It isn't for me so much because I really spend my time looking to provide people with hope. And so I'm always on the flip side of that, of the angst and the depression, and looking to create just brighter places for people to plug into. And we've got a community that is just rife with that offering. And so when people do break down emotionally and it affects them physically, all of a sudden now unable to work or not functioning properly at work, and then so they're threatened on that front. Some have lost jobs. We look at what's taken place just as a result of COVID and the work front and stuff like that. It just breaks us down, and so we don't know how to talk about the financial stuff. We really don't. So the people suffer in silence. And I've even got a term for them. They're up and outers. And, I say that and people kind of cock their heads like a Rottweiler when it looks at you funny, like, you know, if I mention down and outer to people, they have absolutely no problems conjuring up imagery in regards to what a down and outer is. But if I talk to people about having a heartbeat and wanting to help an up and outer, I get that Rottweiler look. What the heck do you mean? They're the people out there who, by all definition, from most of us, are the people who have it going on. They're succeeding. They've got companies they're running. Everything looks good on the family front. They're driving the cars. They've got everything happening. They're kind of looked up to by everybody, and they live with that incredible weight because nobody really knows what's going on behind the curtain, that those car payments are killing them, that mortgage is just becoming unmanageable for them, and they sit and suffer in silence because they do not know how to broach that subject. They sit in such a heavy cloak of shame. So here we are. We come along with our offering. We come along with our product line. We come along with our technology. And we know that we can help people begin to break this cycle because we know how effective and efficient this technology is on the physical plane. And what happens when you begin to take care of your physical plane? That spills over into the emotional realm for you. And so begins to shift things and lifts. And, we hear about people having that COVID fog lifted, and we hear about people experiencing better sleep, and all of a sudden their mood is a little better. And so things begin to just take on a new meaning for them. And I believe the more people that we can patch and help break that infinity cycle, it becomes a little more of an appealing offer or option for them to step into this and take advantage of what we've got here available to them on a financial front without ever talking to them about the financial element, because they'll shut down faster than anything. If we begin to approach them with, hey, I've got a way for you to make money, or I've got a way for you to change your life, and you can do this and you can do that. And it's all in our approach. And why I'm so sensitive to the language use. And I talked about it on the last podcast I was on regarding, closing strategies. Well, for me, that's emotional and psychological manipulation, because people get trained in questioning tactics to close people so that they feel lesser than if they say no to something that you're bringing to them. And I just don't feel it's right. Whereas if we spend more time opening things for people by asking them questions and getting them to a place where they're comfortable enough to talk about that and provide them with an option that we know thousands of other people have experienced prior to them coming into this, and get them to take it on and to apply the technology and experience it for themselves. It opens the doors for them to really kind of make a decision on their own, because we've got all of the information we need to be able to provide them with. We know that. But if we come at them like a fire hose because we're so excited about the things we've got for them, we'll never ever get to a place where they can broach the shame that they're sitting in regards to their financial situations. Is this making sense to everybody? Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask? Because I'll tell you, my hashtag is skilled listener, not skilled speaker. So, I spend the majority of my time listening to people, and I hear what people say. I develop a skill for listening for what they don't, so that I'm equipped with a better layer of questions to ask to help peel back layers and have them feel safe as opposed to exposed. So if there's anything that anybody's got in regards to asking questions to maybe, some scenarios or role playing, or how you go about doing this, please feel free to ask your questions. I don't know, Dr. Bell, if you facilitate that, do the people have the ability to unmute and ask their questions?
Yeah, they can. And I have a comment too. And I'm having to keep my video off because I've got some kind of resolution thing going on. So hopefully you guys can hear me well. But Don, when you were speaking about our financial stuff, the our environment has also taught us don't talk about money. And sometimes when we get ready to do that presentation, and we start talking about the money aspect, you can start watching brand partners shut down, or either try to avoid it or skip over it or go really fast over it. But what I have found is that if I start out with my presentation that, hey, for $299.95, we're going to change your life, and then move into the presentation, I have their attention because money matters to them as well. So I wanted to put that out there. And then Megan is saying on the chats, she's saying, so don't be excited about sharing the product. No, 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 that's not what Dawn is saying at all. Would you like to speak on that, Dawn? What she is saying is that we're not supposed to be excited about sharing the product. You want to put it into perspective for her?
Sure. I want us to be extremely excited about sharing this product, about what we've got for people. But I don't want it to be from a perspective that we're approaching them with a great opportunity, because what ends up happening when we come at people like that is that's all about us. That's all about this excitement and this great opportunity we have for somebody. And we come off and we throw up all over them with our excitement and our exuberance. And the industry is famous for it. The industry is known for that. And because we're excited, but what I'm asking people to do is temper that excitement, and let's find out what's going to excite them about what we've got, because we've got all of the information we need. And if we simply position ourselves as a fountain in the middle of a place for someone to walk up and quench their thirst that way, we're not coming off as a fire hose and driving them against walls and into pavement and just pushing everything that we think is exciting at them. It all starts for me by asking questions. Where are they at? What has the environment done to them on the physical and emotional planes? Where are they on those fronts? And have they got a game plan? Are they looking at moving into something? Have they got any options that they're exercising in order to feel better physically, in order to really, feel the emotional wellness that there's such a lack of right now? And they're all intertwined. It's why I refer to it as this infinity cycle, because it just keeps going. The financial stress wreaks havoc on us emotionally. Emotionally, it breaks down our immune system. Our immune system affects us emotionally. When those two things are affected, it affects us in the workplace, and it just keeps going and going and going. And uh, we're trying to push like our excitement onto people to help break them free, whereas we need to just hold a safe space for them to climb out of where they feel trapped and not be alone while they're doing that.
That is absolutely right. We're a part of a book club that Megan had started with the Legacy folks. And it's what to say when you talk to yourself. And when you and I met earlier this week, you shared with me some of the things that a person will have running around in their head that is self defeating, but it's coming from this shame that they're feeling. So, would you mind sharing some of those statements that we say to ourselves that really brings our energy down?
Well, it comes out of the training in regards to loss, because here's what's happening. Most people are grieving. They're in deep states of grief right now. And the majority of them don't realize it, because we'll typically attribute grief and the emotional turmoil that surfaces on that front when we experience the loss of a loved one. And a lot of people will look at what's unfolding in the world and say, well, geez, my family's okay. I haven't lost anybody. I'm not grieving. And here's the conundrum. Any form of loss, and especially the intangible losses, affect us with the same emotional turmoil. And let me define an intangible loss for you. Loss of innocence, loss of value, loss of self-worth, loss of safety, loss of trust. You tell me that we aren't dealing with an abundance of that in the world right now. It'll be difficult for you to reach out to your left, reach out to your right, look backwards, look forwards, and not have your eyes or your hand touch somebody who isn't suffering from incredible loss. And that keeps them cloaked up. And the reason I so typically want to stay away from the financial element of this is because it's so difficult for people to broach. And I don't want people feeling like there's going to be an expectation from me or anybody in my entourage to have them step up and do something. Because when you look at what's unfolded in the world, and here, this is me fessing up. I don't have to look very far for a boomer that suffers um, from financial turmoil. It's in every mirror I walk by. And it isn't because I'm not smart. It isn't because I'm not caring. The world has unfolded for me that's kept me in a place at 70 years old from former some bad decisions, like business decisions, that here I am at 70 with a mortgage and a debt load. But I have a pathway through this because I've been able to break the infinity cycle. And I also understand the power that's found in going first. So when I speak my story into somebody's brokenness on the financial front, it really provides them with wiggle room to say, wow, me too. They get to take their mask off and sometimes connect for the very first time ever. And I don't know if anybody here has ever experienced feeling alone or lonely and then meeting someone that you actually get to connect with, that breathes life into your situation for you. It provides you with an ability to maybe look up and say, there's a tomorrow. That's all I want to do. That's all I want to do. I want to provide people with a safe space to talk about the things that really bother them. And if I'm so exuberant about approaching them with all of this great stuff I've got, I don't ever get to hear those stories. I don't ever get to sit back and provide them an option going to meet them where their need is, as
Absolutely.
opposed to where my want is.
That is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I would like to open it up because the things that you're speaking of right now, I have a feeling that we're all guilty of that on one level or another, especially when we first get started in this, because we want everybody to know what we experienced, right? We want everybody to feel as good as we feel. So if you guys would like to unmute yourself and ask Don a question or bring up this subject, let's stick with what he's talking about too. Let's not get into patches, but let's stick into what he is sharing with us and how to present this. Okay. While somebody is waiting too, we were talking about some of the negative self-talk, and one of the things that I teach is like the law of increase, is that what we're focusing on will grow. So if we're focusing on that there's no way out, that can actually be projected onto an individual that we're working with as well. Hi, Martin, do you have a question or a comment?
I guess a comment. I was going to say that one of the things I love about Team Evolve, and from the very first day I was introduced to it by Garth Orbison, was that we think about people, we put people first, and their health and the product first, and that it's not about the money. What matters is the people, and what Don has described here is really a how-to. I mean, basically, if you follow that to its extreme, not to extreme, but follow it to its extent, it's a beautiful expression of how to get someone to say yes, because they're saying yes to lifting themselves up, not lifting you up. So I just love what Don has said here, and I can't wait to share this with others, because it needs to go beyond just our community.
Absolutely.
I love that, Martin. And the heartbeat that lives in me is really about breaking that, right? Like it just shifting some of the language that the industry is just so insensitive with. We've got expressions for it, like people don't know, or people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And how often do we really walk those things out? If this is a relational business, then let's stop approaching it with transactional tactics.
Yeah, and I teach emotional intelligence, so this resonates so strongly with me for that reason. You talked about the nurturing, where most of us who join us are in a nurturing frame of mind, and certainly people in this group are of a nurturing quality. So it's great. I love the blueprint. So let me ask a question then. If someone is, I mean, what words do you use? Because the words are really important. And I know we talked about listening first. Give me a role play.
In regards to what? Probing for sensitivity?
Well, no, I know how to ask questions. I'm saying, okay, now you understand where they're coming from. Now the transition into, you don't want to start with a presentation. You're not going to go from just asking the questions to a presentation. What's the next step you take from going from understanding where they're coming from? What's that first step you take?
I like just letting people know that I'm equipped to answer any questions they have, and how would they like to move forward with this? What are some of the things that are really ailing them the most that they'd like to see addressed? Because in the option availability for me, it's endless, and I can provide them with a pathway forward. So let's find out where they're at and what they want to do with this, because there aren't very many things they can say that I can't meet the need with.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you.
That makes sense?
It makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. I know there were a lot of things written in the chat. I'm horrible at being able to read chat and answer stuff. Like, I like this. Like, pipe up and talk to me. I'm here. I'm here, and I want to be able to serve you.
That's right. He loves to listen. So the things that they're saying in the chat, Don, is amazing. Absolutely true. This is so touching and incredibly beautiful. Know, trust, and love this community. And you've anchored that, right? Today, especially, you've really anchored that because you had a unique ability to touch on something that many of us have the inability to express or to articulate. And now you've brought it into an awareness for us to say, hey, guys, when you're working with people, they're feeling this way too. And so let's get connected.
Absolutely. And really, removing words like strong and replacing that with the word courage, it just shifts so much. You know, when people just really have, I guess, the willingness to post personal things on a profile in social media, and you'll see all the things. Oh, you got this. You be strong. That's a trap. That's a trap for people. What you're really telling them is, don't feel the anxiety. Don't feel that pain you're feeling right now. Stay trapped.
Mm-hmm.
But if you shift that to courage, wow, it changes everything. It opens doors for people. And that's really all we want to do. These people are feeling, in most cases, closed in and alone. And we have a community of such giving, caring people who would not want to be a part of this. But if we're not willing to talk about it being that first, and let's find out what it is that's harassing you. Let's find out where you are suffering the most. And it's us having the courage to ask those difficult questions, because in most instances we don't want to know. It's why the majority of people don't go to funeral parlors.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what to say. And here, let me let you in on a little secret right now and free everybody up that may be in this community that thinks that or feels that way. You don't ever have to say a word. Your presence in that funeral parlor, showing up during that uncomfortable time for somebody, is all that needs to be spoken. And nothing verbal ever has to be exchanged. Just
That's
be there.
yeah, that's amazing. I was just going to add to parallel what you said, that the idea is that having people take a very small step forward is really easy. If just say, oh, okay, get some of these patches and try them yourself to lift yourself up. Once you've established what that pain is, asking them to get the patches for themselves is a small step, where asking them to start a new business or take on a new opportunity, well, that can be an overwhelming thing, because people think of brick and mortar and employees. That's the first thing they think of. I can't do this, right? But that first small step of getting the patches and then sharing your story is a very logical procedure that would get them into a cycle in a very comfortable way.
Absolutely. Our sometimes insensitivity to, wanting to speak an entrepreneurial language to people who are so far from being an entrepreneur that it's scary, like it is. And we have all the verbiage down, like you're in business for yourself but not by yourself, and like we just keep driving these wedges in, and we don't ever find out what their expectation is. We don't ever find out where they're hurting. How can I meet that need? Not me meet the need, but how can this incredible community meet this need? Because, I share this frequently. I don't have all the answers, but I'm 70 and I've been around the block. If I don't have the answers, I pretty much know someone who does have the answer. And let me connect that dot for you. Because that's nurturing. That's about them. That's having them feel safe. And I'll tell you right now, nobody's going to ever run looking for someone else to take part in this with. If you're honest enough to want to refer them, it's the old, for those of you on the screen who Miracle on 34th Street. Like, let's be Macy's that send their customers to Gambles if we don't have what they're looking for.
Well,
It changes the dynamic.
it does. And as soon as you do that, there's a level of trust that they have in you because you're confident enough to send them where they need to go. And at that time, they really do see that you care about them because you're willing to say, hey, you know what, maybe this person can serve you better. And something else, when you continue to talk about your story, a lot of times when we're able to express our vulnerability, that's where other people also feel that they can trust that becoming vulnerable themselves, it's not going to be taken advantage of.
Well, I just like to shift the lens there, if I may, as well,
Yeah,
Dr. Velvet, and it's it's found in authenticity. Vulnerability is really the willingness to be authentic. It's the authenticity that will make the difference, because we can get on and talk about vulnerable things. It's like, in conversation with people, when you begin speaking about things you're fearful of, you've lost them in the conversation. They're off conjuring all the stuff up that they're fearful of. They don't care what you're afraid of. And you've lost them in that conversation,
that is so true.
and the same goes with, it's being mindful. It's being able to just sit and sometimes listen, being comfortable in that uncomfortable pause, because that's where the magic happens. That's where somebody actually begins to feel cared for and nurtured. Nobody's probing, nobody's rushing me for an answer. They're letting me feel this through. And even if they don't, just watch the body language, watch shoulders drop, watch just exhales, watch just what unfolds, and you're creating that just place for them to not feel like you're looking for something.
That is so good, so good. Dawn, is there a website or a way that people can connect with you? Because we have a couple of people that are wanting to connect. So would you mind putting it in the chat, or I can do it for you?
Reach out to me on Facebook,
Okay.
friend me there. I can put my profile in the chat if you want me to.
Okay. All right. So Carla, that would be a great way for you to connect with him and get the dialogue starting. So he'll put that in there for you. So the recording will be on Telegram in your personal development and in your business training. So yeah, that's true. Okay. There's a couple of people saying that they don't have Facebook.
Okay. Which Telegram group is it, please?
So we have a personal development Telegram group and then a business training.
Oh, okay. I'm not in the personal development one. Okay.
So Don, are you on Telegram or just on Facebook?
Yeah, no, I'm on Telegram as well. I'm in the Evolve group. I'm in the personal development group.
There you guys go. All right. So that's another way you can connect with him.
And here I'll also put in, I just put, if people want to read my bio and find out a little bit more about me and my brokenness, it's right there in my bio. They
All
can
right.
go to dblachance.com. It's where I do my grief work from.
Mhm.
But and it doesn't have to be about grief. It's just for people to be able to connect, to get an email off to me, to, ask me any questions they've got in regards to just things that they believe may be holding them back on an emotional plane.
Well, that's a very interesting question too. Like, what is holding you back? And I'm really surprised that some people may not know what's holding, or ask that question of like, I'm trying to connect with people, but I don't know what's holding me back, But I think you've given us enough information to where we can cross that bridge of like allowing that space for us to have that silence to really listen to what the other person is saying so that we know how to meet them. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it wouldn't serve anybody, me, standing here or sitting here and saying, don't feel bad. Far be it from me to tell you how to feel. You know that more than anybody. I keep the 6 myths that keep us trapped and living in shame, and just unwilling to deal with what we're really feeling. And I keep them alongside my door frame here because while I'm in my office and I'm working with people, I'm very conscious of all of that. But the minute I walk through my doorway, I'm walking out into a world that's so desensitized and so hurting that I have to be very mindful. And I read them every time I walk out my door, and here they are. Don't feel bad, replace the loss, grieve alone, just give it time, be strong for others, and keep busy. None of them will ever serve you.
Mm. That's powerful. Mhm.
And the world is trapped in that. So when we look at what we've come through, seriously, you know, learn to love yourselves. It's so, so important because the more you can plug into a healthy self-care routine and spending time with self so that you love yourself, the more you have to bring to a marketplace that needs everything you can muster up right now. And this isn't casting judgment, and this isn't to put pressure on anybody. This is to free you up.
This is true. This is beautiful. All right, so we're coming up on the hour. Would anybody?
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Well,
An hour already.
Wow, perfect. So, Don, I have a friend from Arizona who is in grief counseling as well, and I'd really love to introduce her to this. Would it be possible for us to set up a meeting with
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Your heart is incredible. And what's the name of the business development group? I just added the personal development group.
In
That's what
regards
it's
to what?
called.
It's called
There's a
Evolve.
picture. There's a picture in chat. It's called personal development and in Telegram.
Got
It's
it.
got a big orange and pink kind of flower.
Got it. See it. Thank you.
Jenny, you have a question? You got your hand up? You want to unmute?
Dawn, I left you a message in Messenger. You won't see it because we're not friends on Facebook, but I did leave it. Do you know how to find those?
I sure do, Jenny.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
quite welcome.
This was amazing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for your openness to receive all of it. And just so people know, there really is no question that's out of bounds. There isn't. You know, you'll see, for those of you who do visit my profile, you'll see there that, you know, I'm a skilled listener and I'm a professional dot connector. I've been around a long time and I love relationships. I love the newness of them. I love exploring. I love holding safe space for people so that they can experience themselves the way we experience them.
Mm. I also like the way that you're able to flip it around. You're able to reframe it. I think that's something that we can all practice too. You know, like when we're speaking, you're able to pick up those nuances of like, okay, we can turn this around. And by turning that around, we can begin to lift ourselves and lift the people that are around us. Mhm. Very good. Very good. All right, you guys. Well, thank you, Don. You know what we have in the chat is that you're just incredible. Everybody is loving this. They want a way to connect with you, so we've made sure that that's possible for everybody to do. And you know, for me personally, I must have to say, you know, this was probably I love this, and I'm sitting in it, like I'm just sitting in it, and I'm processing it. And I can tell that I'm processing it. So I'm sure that's what's happening with everybody here. Because when we think about grief and shame, we're all dealing with our own grief and shame in our own ways. And you've shined a light. You've gotten that flashlight, you know, and you've told us all, hey, you're going to be okay, you know. And for some, it may be the first time that they hear, you have company. You have company. You're in this together, and that we're going to work this through. They don't feel alone. So yeah, Lorraine says, yeah, Dr. Velvet, I'm sitting it as well. I mean, because really I'm sitting here and I'm holding back the tears. So
Why?
because I think it was on that level of so much depth of I have to look at my own personality. Is maybe some of my abruptness, my way of hiding my shame, is some of my activity that I make myself do, the busyness that you talked about so that I could avoid my grief. So when you started reading that, the words that you were, and that they're not going to help us, each one of them felt like something was being plucked out of me, of like, oh my gosh, yeah, I have done that. And I'm now sitting with myself in that, it's kind of like somebody just opened you up, and now you have to discover who your new person is, or how you're going to walk in the world, because now you can't, that shame and grief is no longer a cloak. Now you're free, and freedom can feel scary too.
Absolutely. But just know when people open up, I'm standing simply to love them the way they should be loved.
Yeah, and I'm a firstborn, and I learned how to be loved by the things that I did, the things that I knew. Like, it was always expected of me to know everything. And you gave me permission today. And even though I know it, and I send people other places too for their information, I don't feel guilty about that now. Is that I don't need to know everything. I can breathe, I can relax. Yeah. Megan has a question, I believe. So, Megan, if you would unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm gonna try to say this without crying. Um, does it ever go away?
I beg your pardon?
Does it ever go away?
Does what
The,
ever go away?
the grief.
Yes, we need to process it. Because here's what happens to us when we're experiencing grief. We're anchored to pain around 6 words: different, better, more, hopes, dreams, and expectations. And we are emotionally incomplete on those fronts. But yes, there is. And I love your daughter of God addition to your name, because here's a motto I live by, and I believe serves the community that I get to take part in. A simple motto: they will know us by our love for one another. That's it. It's no more complicated than that. And now I want to cry. When you show up and you find a receptive audience, an audience that can love you the same way you're wanting to love them, it's a powerful, powerful thing. And that's what LifeWave is doing globally right now. So I'm very humbled, and I'm very appreciative of the heartbeat that's on this call right now, because I know that this gets carried out into the other communities in your sphere of influence. And hopefully, with a little bit of what you've received today, you're equipped with something to hand off to someone who wasn't fortunate enough to make it in here for whatever reason. We get to spill over into other people's lives.
Dr. Don, could you repeat the 6 words, please?
Let me see if I can just quickly grab them and put them in. I can do that while.
And while you're doing that, I want to see if Jenny has a new question, because her hand is up. And I don't know if it's because she just forgot to take it down, if that's not going to disrupt.
I'm sorry.
Do you have another question, Jenny?
No, I'm very sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's all good.
Whoa. Here, let Jenny be sorry.
This is true, right? See,
Yeah.
older, see, and that's another thing is that when as an elder and you were always trying to appease everyone, you know, it's okay, you're okay. And so yeah, Jenny, he's absolutely right. You can be
Yeah. But you see, right away, we jump to that. We don't want people to feel bad. Don't be sorry. Yeah, be sorry. There's something going on that, like, you know, you're expressing that. Like, by all means, I welcome it. You
so
let me sit here with you.
can I ask something regarding that? Because there are people that make a, you know, that always, no matter what's happening, oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. How do we just go ahead and say it's okay, you can be sorry and allow them to continue to say that as often as they want? Or is there a way to move them through so that they can have some kind of resolution and why they're feeling that way and expressing that?
Well, if it was something that habitual, like in a conversation, then I'd like to probe and find out what is it that you're sorry about?
Mm-hmm.
And emotionally, what's that bringing up for you? Was it something I said? Was it something you believe you said? Was it something you did that I missed?
Yeah, those are good questions to follow up with too. Yeah, because I have an individual that is constantly saying, I'm sorry. And it's a downtrodden kind of sorry. And like you don't want somebody feeling bad, you want them to feel good. So now you've given me some questions that I can ask them so that they can have their own inner awareness.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's just habitual, right?
Yeah.
It's a feeling of inferiority that's never been addressed, and they don't feel like they're standing as an equal, and anything they may say will offend you. It's like the difference between apologizing to somebody and asking them to forgive you. Don't do that.
Mhm.
Apologize. If you feel a need to apologize to somebody, apologize to them and leave it at that. That's your responsibility. Asking them to forgive you for something you're apologizing for is asking them to do half of your emotional work.
Yeah.
You're minimizing the offense. You're minimizing what's causing you to ask for to apologize and asking them to do that emotional work for you.
Mm. So more tears coming. Can Don come back sometime? Absolutely. I'm sure he has much more he can share with us. And I forgot to express this with everybody because I took it for granted that a lot of the people on the call were already regulars. But I'm Dr. Velvet, the metaphysician. And as you guys know, Wendy's mother passed. And so she asked if I would host this with Dawn so that she could go and do her grieving and do her growth that she needs to during this time. So I just wanted to, I almost said, you know, please forgive me, Dawn. I almost said that. Please forgive me for not doing that. And then I realized, wait a minute, I don't have anything to be sorry for. I'm just reiterating what I had forgotten. So I was able to etch a sketch that real quick.
That's very good.
And I love that it's been so interactive because I think through sharing both of us being able to share our experiences and Megan be so vulnerable of asking that question that so many of us want to ask, will I ever get through this grief? Will I ever be done with this grief? Has allowed us to learn in a much cellular way as a community, as a collective as well.
If people go to the dvlachance.com site, which is where my grief work stems from, they'll find my bio there and really begin, they can explore. And, you know, if there's a need for them to connect and they want to have a conversation around anything of that nature, I welcome that. Absolutely. Like, let's find out what's going on. Let's find out where you think you're trapped, and let's get you on a road to freedom.
Very good. I was on mute. I was talking, but I was on mute. I just want to express my gratitude for everybody that was able to share their vulnerability so that all of us could be in that space together. And Don, all of the stories that you shared with us as well, and why and who you are today from that. And that also gives people hope, you might want to say, is that you got through this and you've been able to take that pain and now you're helping other people in a loving, patient, kind, and gentle way. And really, when we think about the patches, that's a great way to look at it too, is that, yeah, we've all had some kind of pain that we wanted to get over. And if we could greet the individual with that level of sensitivity that you bring to the table, oh my gosh, people will be in love with us like we're in love with you.
Let's teach people to love themselves enough to want to take advantage of our technology. I don't care if they love me, but here, and I say it, I don't care what people think of me, but I certainly do care about what they think about themselves.
Yes. Yes. This is true. And it emanates from you, right? It emanates from
Thank
you.
you.
You can feel that. Jenny says, I over apologize for many years. She says, this is freedom. So look at all the souls that you freed today. Isn't that
No,
amazing?
no, these souls are freeing themselves. I'm
They
simply
are.
just a safe space for them to step out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not me, not me. It's the community here. It's this collaborative effort. Like, this isn't my energy. This is the collective energy. This is the people taking it in and reflecting what's happening here right now so that it's light in every dark corner.
Oh gosh,
This
yeah.
isn't me.
It's all of us.
It's us. They
Mhm.
will know us by our love for one another.
Yes, absolutely. And I truly believe that the patches increase that light and that love and that life within us. I mean, it just seems to go hand in hand, right? If we have more life, we have more light. And if we have more light, we have more love. So that's so beautiful. All right. So, Dawn, again, thank you so much for all of this. You guys, I do not know when the recording will go up because I do not have access to that, but I think Marcy will do her best to get it up as soon as possible. Please share it. Share it with everyone. They don't have to be in Lifeway for you to share this. I've got many on here today that come from other groups. They didn't have to be Lifeway to hear Dawn's amazing words. Did he post the 6 words? So,
Yes, I
yes,
posted, I posted, I posted the words in the chat.
he sure did. Let me see if I can go grab that for you real quick so you can get it. And I'd love for all of you to express what you want to express. I almost said gratitude, Dawn, but I want them to be able to express whatever they want to express. I learned.
Doctor, thank you for taking over for Wendy right now. I really appreciate that. I just wanted to thank you as well.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's my pleasure. And of course, I absolutely hang on every word that Dawn speaks. It's always been so amazing. And it's kind of knocked me off my feet a little bit. So, to be paying attention to this and then yet being the learner and the student. So I'm happy to be here with you, Jenny, and I appreciate your gratitude too. Thank you so much.
Dr. Velvet, so Don had said that when somebody was they're anchored around 6 words, and I know that I just had somebody that lost their son, and he said that we're anchored around 6 ones, like do better, be better. Could he repeat how he worded that? Because it was pretty profound.
I'm absolutely. We're emotionally incomplete and anchored to pain around 6 words: different, better, more, hopes, dreams, and expectations. I often liken our emotional state to Gulliver's Travels. I don't know if you're all familiar with that. You can look up Gulliver. A giant washed up to a beach of little people. And when he woke up in the morning, they had thrown all these ropes over him and woven them into his hair and anchored him to the beach. And no matter how hard he tried to get up, he couldn't move. He was anchored to this beach. And not because he couldn't break any one of those little threads. He could have, but there were so many of them that he was immobilized. And so it is with us on an emotional plane. All of those anchors, all of those little hooks are in the soft spots of our spirit, and they're barbed, and we can't just pull them out. We've got to do some wiggling, and that's painful. And we are not really well equipped to deal with that. So we leave them in there and we don't move forward.
What a beautiful analogy. I would have never seen that from Gulliver's Travels, but it just makes so much sense. Yeah, we are all bound by something, that's for sure.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That's powerful. You know, because they always that's powerful. It's just freeing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty, guys. Oh, Martin, do you have something else you'd like to share?
No, just I was just saying goodbye and thank you so much. The Gulliver's Travels thing was great. By the way, I'm 70 also, so same road, but that Gulliver's Travel. You know, I read the book and I never picked that up exactly like that. It was a long time ago, but that was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. I just want to say shout out to Candy McKinley, my friend who showed up here today to support me. Love you, Candy.
And then thank you, Dawn. This was incredible from Angela, I believe that was. So yes, you are. Yes, I'm going to say it. You're amazing, and I'd like for you to sit in that space. Except that I know you will. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much, and pay attention to the recording. And we'll see you next time. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank
You're welcome.
you.
Thank you,
God
everybody.
bless.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye now.